Please stay tuned. You with Sirius FM 105.7, your number one station in the East End.
But alhamdulillah, this morning it seems as if, yes, there is a peace in the country. We haven't gone to pieces. Julius Malema's bark is it bigger than his bite? And alhamdulillah, things are happening. Many are very happy, especially our women folks. They say the domestics have come in and all are in a very buoyant mood. And it seems as if lots of du'as were answered, Rafeek Hassen, when it came to this national, you taught me a new term. It wasn't a shutdown. It was a protest. And perhaps many will say it was a damp squib. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And how are you doing this fine, beautiful morning, Rafeek?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Brashafat. Alhamdulillah. Allah's fazl karam, we are well and we are happy that, as you rightfully said, in terms of the protest, it is not, it's under control, it's not as violent and destructive as we thought it will be, as prophets of doom were saying.
You can say that prophets of doom barabar, doom sharabi. I mean, I got it different. But you live in the heart of the July unrest, and it was Phoenix that made the headlines. By the way, people, Rafeek is the unofficial mayor of Phoenix. And then everyone said, hey, it's going to happen in Phoenix. But I believe Phoenix is ready. And whatever they said, anything happens, we will be there. And it was quite a big thing to stand up against a propaganda that was, mulling around the stories of Phoenix. And most of it happened to be untrue. And it was someone that was trying to fan up this racial tendency, which is one of the traits of the EFF, Rafeek. Your thoughts on the whole scenario thus far?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Well, just so that to remind your listenership, when there was the real story of the Phoenix saga during the looting, and things went wrong, and and then the Phoenix was in the news, and then the EFF after that whole July incident, Brother Shafat, EFF was still huffing and puffing. And say they want to come sort the Phoenix out. Believe it or not, I don't know if the people are aware, but they came with about 5 busloads. I'm talking about immediately in the aftermath of that July violence and looting. They came to Phoenix. But let me tell you, Breshafat, they just had to march straight to the police station, hand on letter. They could do nothing. The people were ready for any eventuality, and some of them tried to get out of hand, but the police present help. They were here again on Friday. Do you know that? They were here on Friday, the EFF executive and all, to see the station commander in Phoenix. Long and short of the whole thing, Rashafat, I think I'm happy for one thing, and that is that the people have spoken. And if you want to use the word in a democracy, the people have spoken, and the people have said, we're not going to listen to this small boy who's trying to upset the apple cart. You see, people have caught up with Malema, and they know they can't trust him. He, at one stage, he said, I will kill for Zuma. Remember that, Chef? He says, I will kill for Zuma. But later on, he wanted to kill Zuma himself. He switched. And after saying that he wants to kill Zuma, he ends up having tea at Zuma's in Kandla house, back in bed with him. So there's a man you can't trust. He switches like the weather. Whichever the way the wind blows or his mood blows, how are you going to rely on an individual who's changing sides so quickly, all the time? You remember he also said, we have him on record as saying, ANC is in his DNA. He's born ANC, is going to die ANC. And what's happening, today? He said, I'll never form another party. He's all on record of saying these things, Brother Shafat. But look what he's doing. So people have realized you can't deal with somebody who and especially, he's young and not mature and not wise and irrational and very aggressive. You can't have somebody like that running a country. So I'm very pleased that even his own people have caught up with him, leave alone the corruption, the VBS scandal in Limpopo. They know what he has done there. So coming to this current situation, I'm happy in a sense it happened. We were apprehensive because of, third force could always, come in there when the situation, agents provocateur, which he himself mentioned. I was afraid of this, that they will, do the wrong thing. All right, we had one bombing in Nomhlanhla's house in Soweto, and he's the guy who's, heading the community thing to sort out this violence and disturbance. And because he succeeded, and I'm using his word, he says, because we defeated the EFF and the disruption of our services, we learned from the looting that we are well prepared this time. And because we beat them, they came to take revenge and they bombed my house. So that is a sign that the EFF has lost what it wanted to achieve. I must take out my cap to the police force, Brother Shafar. I think for once, the South Africans were always criticizing the police. I think they're going to say, we must be fair. Rather, we must all say hands off and take off our caps to Bengi Pele and his team. They did a superb job, and we've got to give them credit where it is due. And I'm with the Spiritual Crime Prevention, which is a national movement, which is working with the police force, coming from the Police Commissioner's office. It's called Spiritual Crime Prevention. We are privy, we know, Brother Shafar, which the public doesn't know, how understaffed and how under-resourced the South African police is. We know this. And they are working under very major constraints. But what they achieved from last night till today as the South African police force, I think it is remarkable. It brings confidence back to the citizens, because the really mark of a country. If anybody wants to feel they want to pay tribute to the country and be loyal and patriotic to the country, one of the major things a country's got to offer is peace and security. And, we find that today. So, all I can say is I'm glad it happened. I'm glad Malema knows where he belongs and what his status is in the community. This is a good indicator. But I want to just end my comment on this is saying we must not go to sleep from here. On the other hand, it is true, our president, as much as we got congratulate him for, unleashing the army and that for this, the ANC has failed. So we also have to be objective. They didn't deliver in 30 years. They're not going to deliver in the next 30 years. I think what we need to do now as citizens, now that the citizens have woken up, in Inanda, right near past us in Phoenix, you saw the community guys guarding Dube Mall. If you saw from last night, the community has risen, Brother Shafar. And for me, this is the best indicator and the best positive news coming out of this is that, the community is rising. This racism and Indian and black and white, throw it out of the window. We don't want to get involved. It's history. I think that most South Africans are looking beyond that. They are tired of the failed ANC and not delivering. We need to look for a new government and right leaders to lead this country forward, inshallah.
Rafeek, a brilliant point indeed. And as you said, hats off to even the CPFs, the community police forums, and, all they have done so well. And most of them, armed to the teeth. And, in my hometown of Zapingo Beach, you just have to just pick up the phone and say, you know what, I look at across the road, I'm seeing a suspicious looking vehicle. Within 30 seconds, they're on that vehicle. What you're doing here, it's a heavy situation, and we have to judge you are non-residential here. And, thank Allah that I think the CR government is allowing us to have that type of, power where the CPF together with the police force can do things like that. Before it was like, you couldn't do it, and then they say, oh, you know what, are you looking at me with the prejudiced eyes? Is this, racism and so forth? But now, because of the statistics, we have all the rights to go and question her, Rafeek. Yes,
look, Beggy Pele mentioned exactly what you're saying, and thanks for reminding me. I omitted the CPR. Beggy Pele, in his report this morning, he said, I would like to thank the community working with the police. And that is what I was trying to say earlier on. That, and our spiritual crime prevention, and maybe at some time we'll talk about that later on Sirius FM, which is a national where they want religious leaders to get involved in helping to crime and awareness to crime. And he has conceded to that the community, he wants to thank that. So this partnership that with the community, the police force, with the government to protect our property and our rights, African, local, township, African communities have stood up and are protecting the malls and their livelihoods and this destruction. This bodes very well. I feel so positive about this. Don't paint everyone with the same brush. Don't say all Africans are destructive. Don't say a black man is all who knows how to destroy. I think we must start changing the discourse. Don't paint that. Just like we don't want them to say all Indians are like this and all Indians are like that, or all Muslims are like that. Just like we don't want that, we must stop this nonsense. The only way racism and this, the enemy likes to divide and rule. We must stop talking in terms of black, white, Indian, and on all these things. We must talk of fellow South Africans and fellow citizens. And I think we will be able to. I feel good that inshallah the future bodes well. The day the communities wake up is a sign that we can prosper.
You know, Rafeek, when I started off the show and I said my fervent dua is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turns the hearts of those that do not have Iman, turn it towards Islam, and that Allah gives them all Iman, and that inshallah, not only South Africa, but the whole of Africa will resonate with the kalima, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then and only then will we have, equal parity and so forth. And, it seems as if, you look at the youth, and, Julius Malema playing with the minds of the students, and they say most of the, students governing bodies at universities, all are captured by the EFF, and that's why there's a lot of disruption at university level. And one of his biggest support for this shutdown was the students, and it seems as if, the police came to the fore. They started roadblocks 2 days in advance, and everyone got through. The CPFs already, and the solution came through with even the army coming to the fore. But the important thing is perhaps a realization for fellow South Africans, or most South African citizens, is that we can fight those that are trying to stall Ubuntu in such a beautiful country like South Africa, Rafeek.
Yeah. Look, again, I must blame the ANC government for this. You see why he's getting the university students. If you look at one of the I think whether it was Pretoria University, one of these universities, one of the students, just a student who was talking, and the student is saying, I have finished my one degree. I'm working on another degree. It's gone 6 years. I haven't got a job. They spoke to one EFF supporter here in Inanda, near us in Phoenix, and he's a young EFF supporter with a red shirt. And I sympathize and empathize with him. And they asked him, why are you supporting? He says, because it's 7 years I'm looking for a job and I can't find a job. What do I do? So the government is providing fodder to Malema and his guys. Their problem is the government has failed. They have used the money, stolen the money, and filled their pockets. Instead of, monies were given from international donors. We had enough money of our own in this country. There's enough money in this country to go around for every citizen in this country. But unfortunately, the ANC, another name for the ANC is get quick rich, join the ANC. That's another name for the ANC. And I think they have lost the plot. And they have caused this problem. So I don't blame them, but Malema they'll come to realize Malema is not the answer. Malema is just, what you said earlier on, his bark is louder than bite. He hasn't got the solution. And, if you allow me to end the big picture, now that we're talking macro situation, support-based from the poor people and from the students are frustrated. They're cutting down the fees, they're cutting down the bursaries, they're not paying. What do? You force them and you put pressure on them to pass matric to go to college. Then when they go to college and qualify, they're walking the streets with a degree.
Yeah, but Rafeek, we talk about the standard of education is, it's deplorable according to, many academics I talk to. And they say the dropout rate is 60%, Rafeek.
Well, that's, again, 100%. If you want to now come and focus on the school level, let's start at the foundation phase. If you look at, the school career, primary school and high school, it's Kader Asmal, and Thabo Mbeki who buggered the whole thing up. They will go to Australia and advance first world countries and trying to bring a syllabus to change our syllabus here. They did away with teacher training colleges, right, which was working very well. They messed it up. And that's what the result is. You are 100% correct. The time has come, in very good faith. I'm saying it with full consciousness and not in anger, but with a good intention. I think, over 3/4 of the parliamentarians are over age. They're past pension. They should rather go into retirement, give the right people to do the job, and they put the country right in 5 years.
Yeah, give the youngsters, let the youth come in, but let Rafeek Hassen be the spiritual advisor to all these people. Tell you, Rafeek, you'll do very well. And Kader Asmal, Kader Asmal was in my grandfather's school in Stanger. My grandfather was the founder of the Stanger, secondary in 1920. He founded that, and he was there from 1920 to 1940. One of his students was Kader Asmal. So, I
was a brilliant man, undoubtedly, but, they just put in wrong policies. Messed up.
You were absolutely right, because they were trying to emulate a system that wouldn't work in our country. And by the way, the apartheid government, they gave us a standard of education. I mean, I say this in humility. Look at you and I. I mean, we can hold our own anywhere, Rafeek. But that was, we went through an apartheid system, and they really, even amongst the blacks, they gave them a very high quality of education, Rafeek.
Well, they are saying it themselves. They are saying, we'd rather go back to apartheid. We had schools, maybe we had less budget than the white man, but it was run better than the current ANC. We had hospitals, which was, for the black man, which was lower in standard, but that lower standard was even better than the ANC hospitals right now. And if you're talking about education, let us just look across the border to Zimbabwe and compare the two. And you can see the mess the ANC made. You take off your cap for Mugabe. That after he took over from British colonialism, we were also under British colonialism, but he ensured the school educational system was tops. And you can see, compare any Zimbabwean, average Zimbabwean, they threw Mugabe. Like now this protest took place, Brother Shafat. Let's compare apples with apples. This protest that Malema is doing, who is a product of the ANC educational system and ANC's political system, right? Look what he's achieving and how destructive he has been over the years. Same way, the people and the youth of Zimbabwe, they turned against Mugabe, not realizing what he did for them. Remember, they toppled him with a protest. But compare the two. The people of Zimbabwe, they took Mugabe out of power with a protest, but not one window pane was broken in Zimbabwe. Not one stone was thrown to damage and destroy anything. Compare that to the youth of South Africa and the destruction and mayhem they have caused right from the time of the looting and before that. It's because of the educational system between the two countries.
Yeah, Rafeek, I can hear good old Bob saying, you know what? Get me my cucumber sandwich with a lovely hot cup of tea. I will have it with a majesty. Yes, that was good old Bob. I mean, you talk to Zimbabweans, the English is like, the Queen's English, Rafeek.
Yes.
You were absolutely brilliant as usual. It was divine decree that brought you on to give your comments. Perhaps your parting words before we let you go.
Yeah, all I can say, in the Muslim world, this week, Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday could be the beginning of Ramadan. And Ramadan is a great month of blessings. Just as we made lots of dua and prayer for peace for today, let us use that month while we're praying for our families and ourselves, for our country, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's a beautiful country. It's the best country in the world, that Allah, use this time in Ramadan for us to unite across the racial lines, across the religious lines, and get the right leaders in so South Africa can again emerge as one of the leading countries of the world, inshallah.
Ameen to your du'as, Rafeek. You have a, mashallah, beautiful day ahead. We will talk to you soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Brilliant indeed, our very own Rafeek Hassen and Yusuf Asmal, a great genius tech again. Yeah, I missed our junior geniuses, but inshallah we'll meet them soon. Keep it locked on to Sirius FM for beautiful broadcasting and lovely nasheed interspersed from the team and I till we meet you again. We bid you Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.